So I've been doing a science experiment and tinkering with DNA myself, and this is what I call the baby. As far as I know, it can't fly, and I've yet to see its eyeballs fly out of its head as bats. But it's early days yet.
I did it! I updated the dog.
What does that even mean?
You know, I hand-edited all 6 billion sequences. It was really fun. Oh, look at you. You're just a cute little cinnamon roll.
I'm trying to make this transporter go faster, but nobody's gonna help me test it.
Ooh, I'll do it.
Okay, cool. Oh, man, I thought I solved this.
Dude, what is wrong with you?
Nothing. I'm just phasing. No biggie.
Disagree. It's kind of a biggie.
Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel, where I talk about all the geeky pop culture that I like, including Star Trek. And yes, today I have a little baby with me. I don't know if he's going to sit still. Basically, I'm alone with the baby, so it's just us two. So I couldn't leave him downstairs by himself. I have already also recorded this video once, and it did not save to my phone's memory. So we're doing it again, aren't we, baby? Yeah. Also, you know, cute baby. You're gonna get me likes, like and subscribe. So we're here to talk about Lower Decks, Much Ado About Boimler, the 7th episode, I want to say. Oh, what's the matter, little guy? The baby is gone. He wasn't having as much fun as he was the first time we recorded this. So the cuteness has gone. Please do still like and subscribe. Look, that means we can get on with reviewing the episode. So, the opening, in non-spoiler terms, I thought it was good that they did something different again. We're getting this a lot from the show. They were experimenting with what they do with their opening, which I quite like. We've had episodes where they are just completely separate from everything that happens in the plot. Just little sketches to start the episode, then we get the titles, and then we launch into the plot proper. We've had one episode where it ties very directly into the main plot of the episode. That, for me, was the weakest one. We've had an episode where there wasn't one at all. I missed it. And this one is kind of like an in-between, between the sketch and the tying into an episode, because it doesn't kick off the main plot or anything like that. But what we do get is the sketch at the beginning, and then that joke and the sketch from it kind of recurs throughout the episode and links into one of the other stories going on. It's not the catalyst for it, it's not the main point of the story, but it's kind of there, sort of next to it. And it's another interesting way of using the top of the programme, which is nice to have something, again, a bit different. I like the fact they're experimenting with it. This episode was another Boimler and Mariner focused episode, which I think we're just going to have to accept now that this is the Boimler and Mariner show. That's what it is. And Tendi and Rutherford are supporting characters. We just kind of going to have to accept that. The last couple of episodes, I thought, were going in more of a direction where they were all kind of equal, all had equal screen time in the last 2 episodes, and it kind of felt a bit more balanced. This one seems to have gone back to mainly focusing on Mariner and Boimler again. So, given how far we're now into the series and how many episodes we've got left, I think we just have to accept that it's their show and Tendi and Rutherford are supporting characters. Maybe if in season 2 the creators have seen how much people want to see more of the other two, that might shift in season 2, but I think for the rest of the season, I think we're just got to accept it. They do mix up the dynamics a little bit in the sense of they haven't got Boimler and Mariner together most of the time here, so that's good. They are split off. Boimler has a few scenes with Rutherford and a few scenes with Tendi, but again, it's not in the same way that we've had Mariner and Boimler episodes where they're together. They're kind of, again, that Tendi and Rutherford are there to just sort of add the occasional joke in, be the support. They're not part of the main focus, which is a real shame. This episode again played with the theme of what it is to be Starfleet, what being Starfleet means, and that's something we've seen recur again and again throughout the season, so it's clearly something the creators are interested in exploring. And both of these plots do it in slightly different ways, and I think they both work. And some of them, I think the one with Boimler is a lot more on a very sort of under the surface level. It's exploring that, but I think it's there, and it's a good thing that I think it's good that the series as a whole has this question that it wants to explore, and it's done that in several different ways throughout the series. For me, the most interesting bit of this episode, while the Boimler stuff, plotline and stuff was interesting from a kind of quirky sci-fi angle perspective, something quirky going on, the real good character stuff from this came from Mariner and her plot. We got to get a bit more of an insight into her, what drives her, what has in the past happened to her, maybe some hints towards that, and yeah, it made me want to find out more about her and what has happened to her in the past. So I like the development we're getting with her character in this episode. It was a good episode. It's not right at the top for me. It's not right at the bottom for me. It's kind of somewhere in the middle of the episodes we've gotten so far. I enjoyed it. One plot line was a lot stronger than the other one, I thought, but I have no major grievances with anything in the episode. Oh, and there were some really good Easter eggs in there as well, which I'll talk about in the spoiler section. So let's get on to spoilers. So the opening, we have Tendi has created a dog. She's been meddling with DNA. Apparently, the law against genetic engineering only applies to humans, I guess. You can genetically engineer dogs just fine. But not humans. Like I said, this is kind of, it starts as an opening gag, and then it just sort of reoccurs. And the joke is that Tendi doesn't realise this is not what a dog should be, because it looks initially like an ordinary dog, but it does very strange things, like turning into a weird elongated spider leg type thing and crawling on the ceiling. Turns into a metal block that just rolls along the corridor at one point. Its eyes flutter away with bat wings at one point. It's a very strange creature, but Tendi assumes this is what a dog is, and this is, what a dog does. It's a reoccurring joke throughout the episode. It's kind of paid off at the end when she meets a real dog after leaving this dog on the farm to live out its life with the rest of the freaks, as they are referred to in this episode, which we'll get to in Boimler's plotline. She meets a real dog, and it licks her face, and she doesn't like it. She doesn't like how real dogs act. She likes her quirky, bizarre dog that talks, apparently. In Boimler's plot, of course, we get the transporter experiment of Rutherford's, where he's got the 2 transporter pods. Now, this reminded me, just the look of them, reminded me of I don't know if anybody else remembers this. I never had it. I always wanted to play with it. I never saw one in person. The 90s, the Next Generation transporter toy, which had 2 booths, and apparently, according to the adverts at least, you put a figure in one and it materialised in the other. Or at least that's, I think, my vague memory of being like 7 and seeing the advert on TV. I'm guessing it worked by having 2 figures and one of them was just disguised by some mirrors or so. I don't know how it worked. Tell me in the comments if you had this toy and know how it works. I've never been able to find out. Granted, I haven't looked particularly hard. I could probably Google it and find out. But if you know, just tell me in the comments. Save me some Googling. But it kind of reminded me of that because it had the 2 transporter bits just there. But Rutherford is trying to speed up transporting by like fractions of a second, and I just love that. It's the kind of thing that, only a really geeky, nerdy engineer would want to do. The moments of seconds matter hardly anything to most people, but to Rutherford it matters. And interestingly, it will matter in the plot as well, because this whole transporter thing could have just been the thing that kicks off the plot for Boimler and gets him into the situation where he has the transporter accident and he's out of phase. But actually, it's brought back in later on as well in a really nice way that ends up saving the day in Mariner's plot. So it crossed the function of these transporters, crossed both plots, and wasn't just like, so if you know the concept of Chekhov's gun, it was something that we saw early on, it paid off at the end, it feels like it's therefore worthwhile. It wasn't just a sort of MacGuffin to get the plot moving for Boimler. But Boimler, with this experiment, is taken out of phase and is kind of translucent, gives this ear-piercing noise off. It's very annoying. And he gets sent off to the farm by Division 14. Division 14, it's quite clear that they were very deliberately trying to give the impression that Division 14 were a very shady bit of Starfleet. Just the name alone, Division 14 kind of evokes Section 31 in the naming convention, doesn't it? It makes you think of that kind of secret organization that nobody really talks about. And then they rock up in a black hulled ship. It's all dark lighting and painted black inside, black and red. It's very creepy. You got the commander guy who is he's got this stereotypical evil laugh and is very creepy. And all of the aesthetics of that are meant to make us think that these are bad guys intending bad things for the people they've got on their ship. And all the people on the ship have been told they're being transported to this lovely spa place where they will recover, but they don't believe it because of the environment they are in. Immediately struck me as thinking, that's not very Starfleet. In the same way that I suppose Section 31 doesn't feel very Starfleet. But the thing about Section 31 is it's kind of a rogue operation. This feels more like it's a sanctioned part of the thing. So I was a bit uneasy about it to start with. I was thinking, would they really do this? But the twist at the end is, of course, they were just taking them to a spa to recover and to be treated well, and there was never any threat. So it's kind of pulling the rug from under your feet. I thought it was quite funny. There's the mutiny as well, that when everybody is thinking that they're going to be taken to somewhere horrible, or that their lives are as now prisoners, makes you think that they're prisoners. Boimler dobs them in to the commander, even though he's one of them. And at that point, when he first did it, I thought, okay, that's a bit off. Why would you do that? Boimler's very much a stickler for the rules, but it felt like a betrayal initially. But when he was talking to the commander, he did make a point about saying he was telling him to avoid violence, and he emphasizes that point again later when the commander goes in with a gun to put down the rebellion. Boimler says, "I told you because I wanted you to talk to them and resolve this peacefully," and so I don't blame necessarily Boimler. It may be misguided actions, but I don't think it was a character flaw necessarily. And this ties into what it means to be Starfleet, I think, in this respect, because he was doing what he did because he thought it would save lives. And this is the difference between Boimler and Mariner that we've explored before in previous episodes. They very much have different approaches to things, but they're coming at wanting to do good from different approaches, as opposed to being selfish. And this, I think, was him trying to do good. It wasn't him trying to kiss up to get a promotion or anything like that, which is something that Boimler might do in other less morally dubious situations. I think he had his heart in the right place here and was just trying to save some bloodshed. And if you think about it, he was right, because if the mutiny had happened, it turns out that they actually were being taken to a lovely place. So if the mutiny had happened, that would have been bad. So in hindsight, he was right as well. So I think Boimler might get a bit of flack for this, but I don't think he should be judged too harshly for it. There are several Easter eggs during his part as well. The commander of the Division 14 ship is an alien of a species with 3 arms that originated and has only ever been seen up until now, I believe, in the Star Trek animated series, the original one from the late 60s, early 70s, whatever that came out. There was a member of that species as a crew member on the Enterprise in that. There are versions of Pike's chair in there. There's about 3 people on the ship in Pike-style chairs. There is a swamp-type creature that is quite clearly the same type that both Tom Paris and Captain Janeway evolved into after breaking the Warp 10 barrier in a Voyager episode. So somebody's been messing around with Warp 10 again, I guess. So yeah, lots of nice little Easter eggs in that. As I said, I thought Mariner's plotline was more interesting from the character perspective, because, Boimler's plotline was a nice little quirky, someone is out of phase, sci-fi, Star Trek plot. But the character stuff, I think, really came from Mariner in this episode, as we got a bit of an insight into her past, into what drives her as a character, some maybe hints at some other stuff that we might find out in the future. Certainly some questions have been raised about why she is the way she is, and all that was very interesting. We get her old academy friend coming on board as captain, a temporary captain, while the normal captain, Mariner's mum, and the senior bridge crew go off on a top secret mission to plant some plants. Very important top secret mission. And we get this interesting dynamic where while they were at the academy, clearly they were the pranksters of the class. They did stuff to the lecturers. Was it boat? I can't remember. The car or something like that. And you know, they generally had a laugh. And we get a situation where they both have expectations of the other one that aren't being fulfilled, because Mariner still expects her friend to be this kind of jokey, prank-pulling person, which, to a degree, she is still very light-hearted, and a lot more light-hearted and playful than a lot of captains would be, but she's still not quite the person that Mariner remembers, because she's grown, because she's aged, because she has matured. And what I thought they were going to go down here is that Mariner hasn't, that she hasn't matured, that she's stayed as she was in the academy, but actually it's even more than that. We get the reveal that she used to be the person that would push the rest of them to do well. She used to be the person that everyone thought would be the first out of their class to make captain. And actually now she's sort of regressed to a level where she just doesn't seem to care, where she doesn't put in the effort, where she, mocks everything around her and treats everything with disdain. And so both of them have this expectation of the other one that isn't met. And most of that comes up after she's been made temporary number one to this captain, because they're friends and a bit of nepotism going on there. Not sure that's particularly legit, but hey, it happens. And she keeps on messing up. And when this first happened, I thought, okay, maybe it's her nerves. She's been promoted. She wasn't expecting to be promoted. She's worried about letting her friend down. Maybe it's just nerves making her forget stuff. I can absolutely empathise with that. But it turns out she was actually deliberately getting things wrong, because she didn't want her friend to offer her a place on her own command team, on this captain's ship, because she still have stuff she needs to work through, apparently, as an ensign. If you can hear the baby crying in the background, I should say my wife has come back home, so I haven't just left him crying. He's back with mummy now, don't worry. So this whole plotline makes me think, I want to know what happened to Mariner that made her go from this confident potential future captain to not caring. There's some events there that we don't know about yet, and I want to know what it is. Hopefully we'll get that. Maybe towards the end of the season. Maybe it's a season finale thing. Maybe it's a season 2 thing. I don't know, but I would like to find out. But even though she has been deliberately sabotaging herself, there's a moment in it where everyone's life is suddenly at risk, and she suddenly just turns it on, and she takes command, she issues orders, she does what needs to be done to save the people's lives. And that, I think, is something we've seen from Mariner a few times, and it's an interesting part of her personality. She tries to put on this air of not caring, and I think a lot of it is just bravado and fake. But come the moment where people's lives are in danger, she will step up. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there, because somebody's just started running a bath in the bathroom behind this. You can probably hear it. So there we go. What did you think of this episode? I thought it was Mariner stuff I was really interested in. Boimler stuff was okay. I thought it was an okay plot. There was nothing I don't really have any negatives massively, apart from my usuals of, poor Rutherford and Tendi not getting the focus they deserve. But yeah, it was good. And the dog plotline was quirky and fun, I guess, as well. So all in all, very good. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe and all that jazz. I'll be back next week for more. And hopefully there won't be a crying baby in the background. He's really not happy. Clearly I need to do some more tweaking with the DNA sequencing. Eliminate crying.